Dear mamas, dear village, thank you for loving us, sharing us, and engaging with us. Thank you to everyone who sent us questions for this episode and showed us some love. Thank you for thinking enough of us that you want to hear from us. We are so grateful you want to connect with us. We don't want Dim Black Mamas to be a presentation or a monologue. We want Dim Black Mamas to be an energy exchange, a dialogue between three Black mama creatives and a conversation with you. So please keep emailing us, keep engaging with us through social media comments, your reviews and SoundCloud comments, and keep sharing us, even if it's only with one person. We are so grateful for you and inspired by you. If you're a new listener, welcome to the ride. And before we dive in, we keep it all the way real, which means sometimes it might get a little bit raw. So this episode contains explicit language of a sexual nature. Now, let's get free, y'all, and jump into episode 22, the first of 2019 of
Dim Black Mamas.
We're back. Welcome back to the ride. We've been on hiatus for, I don't know, 2 months now, maybe. Yeah, no, I don't know. Well, we've been on hiatus.
No, but we back.
That's what we know. That's what we know.
Oh, you know what? We didn't even do introductions. I'm Crystal Tennille Irby, mother of
out of fraction.
4.
How many kids you got?
I have 4 children.
Okay.
I have 3 boys and 1 girl.
I'm Thea, mother of 3 girls.
And I'm NeKisha Killings, also mother of 3 girls.
So our show lineup is still the same. So we'll start with our church announcements and then we'll go into our mac and cheese segment. This episode, we're doing Ask Us Anything. So you all sent us questions.
Y'all sent some questions.
And we're gonna be...
I thought I was off work today.
I'm not ready.
I am back on. And
we're gonna be answering your questions. And we're just so grateful for you all. And this year, we're really, really focused on building a relationship with y'all, a 2-way relationship where you all just don't hear from us, but we also hear from you because you don't have to listen. You don't have to be kind. And so we're so grateful that you do. And we just want to show our appreciation and just really begin to build a relationship. We don't want to just see you all as listeners and as fans, but as part of our community, as a part of our tribe. So we're going to be doing some things this year to really build that up. After our mac and cheese segment, we'll have a great collection plate cause. And as always, we'll end with Black Mama Say. So let's get started with the church announcements. Mm-hmm. I know y'all missed.
We missed the voice. Did we miss it?
Hello, beloveds. Here are this episode's church announcements and prayer list requests. Mm-hmm. I gotta sit that to y'all one time. She would love it.
Woke up this morning with my mind.
I don't know why.
Why is it? Woke up this morning.
When you sing a spiritual, you immediately go to a Southern accent.
It's all hallelujah.
That's how spirituals are sang.
If you do it like spiritual.
Yes.
I just thought that's how the song was sang. I didn't realize it was an accent.
No, you
moaning.
Go.
You gotta say moaning. You gotta say it like that.
She's got it down pat.
I got every inflection down pat. For sure.
Okay, so I'm going to start off with church announcements. If you all heard, I forgot what episode it was, but NeKisha talked about the Disney. What is it? Was it Disney 32? I don't know. It was some Disney
Club
group.
33.
Club 33, where you paid us money to join Disney. Disney don't need no more money, and they out here in these streets getting 10 G's to get in. So we want to be funded by you all. We want to be Black people, Black mama built. So we have started a Patreon page where you all can invest in our platform for as low as $1 a month. That's $12 a year. And we have different perks for each level. It starts at $1 and goes up to $100. So we're asking you all to invest in us. We want to be built by you all. We really don't want to be beholden to corporations, because then you won't get this,
Right. Because next thing you know, y'all be mad because we advertising like blonde hair.
Right.
And we'll be like, what did you expect the bitch to do? How we gonna keep the lights on? When nobody donating, then you mad. You know what I'm saying? We got to figure out something here.
So help us help you.
Help us.
We have to at least be able to pay for SoundCloud. Like we have
and possibly some editing.
Or there'll be nowhere to hear us and we will sound janky forever. Help us.
Sometimes you take a hit for the team. And
we really do not want to, do that.
Slang mayonnaise. We don't want to slang mayonnaise. But we will do it if we have to. I don't even like mayonnaise. But we will do it if we have to.
I think Patreon is a great way for people to invest in artists, in platforms that they really want to see continue, as they are. So we're asking you all to invest in us by becoming a patron. And we're going to have some exclusive content for you all, and also some deals for you all. So we'll have that link in our show notes, and you can check out our social media for that link as well. Am I saying Patreon right? Because, my Southern accent has
It sounds right.
It will.
Okay.
Moaning. That's going to be the new word whenever we talk about the Southern accent. That's going to be the word.
I was listening back to some episodes and I was like, oh my God, my accent is just terrible. So
what's interesting is when you swing from the South to Britain. That's the part. I'm just like, wow, we just traveled.
Well, that's when I get around like really nice things.
Yeah, I know.
But from now on, when I get around really nice things, since Black people created everything, I'm just going to start using Ebonic. I'm like, somewhere along the line, we created this, and y'all are selling us
somewhere along the line.
But if you can't join Patreon, buy some merchandise.
Yes.
Or we are also taking PayPal donations. Listen, y'all, it's getting real in the streets.
It's getting real.
Our equipment is on the brink. SoundCloud is hitting my account. Everything.
Listen,
they're hitting you up.
They want their money every month on the 15th. Every month they want their money.
Listen, it ain't free, y'all. It ain't free.
At 12:01.
Send coins. Please,
right.
Keep Crystal out the red, please.
Right.
And I feel some kind of way. I don't feel like we should have to beg like this. This is not right.
I'm just trying to keep it 100. I just really want people to know where we are and what we need. I'm just trying to be
transparent.
I'm trying to be transparent. So,
then what happened if nobody donate after we'd have been this transparent? I'm gonna feel super vulnerable and like neglected. I may not show back up for the episode 23.
Let me tell you something. This will not be the last time y'all hear from me. You know how many emails I get from Best Buy and Home and Office Depot every day? They email me at least 5 times a day. So this won't be the last time they're hearing this from me. And we got some great perks. Get you some merch, send us a picture. We'll put you on Instagram. If you got a nonprofit or a business, we'll shout you out if you take a picture in our merch. I mean, it can be, an exchange. So if you can't be a patron, we're asking that you buy some merch or donate to PayPal. My last announcement is be sure that you're tuning into our sister podcast, which is hosted by Thea and Noni Lamar. It's called All Heart. They just did a great episode, an episode that I don't think that we can touch here because I can't talk about R. Kelly. I watched that documentary and I was in a dark place. It's a great episode. So just be sure that you're listening to All Heart and that you're supporting them. That is our sister podcast. So those are all of my, I have a webinar coming up with Philadelphia Fight called Dear Black Body. It's going to be March 5th during Women's History Month at noon. And the webinar is free. Once I get the information from Philadelphia Fight, then that information will be on our social media page and our website as well. So that's all of my church announcement. Up next is Thea Monnier.
Hello, y'all. I don't have an accent, but I do have some announcements.
You know what?
One, I have updated my website.
Oh.
And I like it. I feel like it's
fancy.
I'm going to throw some new pictures up there because Sister's been doing some things. But check out the new website. It's www.theamonnier.com. And also, I went ahead and launched the Underground Railroad course.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my God. Now, y'all know by now that whatever I do, I have to do it to the extreme. And it took Crystal looking at this course and being like, this is a semester's worth of information from multiple.
Tell them what the Underground Railroad is.
So the Underground Railroad course, what I did was I created a psycho-spiritual framework.
Psycho-spiritual framework.
That's right. That's right. That can be added to any healing modality in reference to working with Black people, but incorporates the ideas of decolonization, joy, and pleasure. So it's not just about getting people well enough to cope in a racist society. I think that's bullshit. It's really about getting people to be able to access joy and pleasure, getting people to be free this lifetime. And so it talks about liberating the mind, liberating the spirit, liberating the emotional body, the physical body. It's an 8-part course. It's pretty intense and it's pretty engaging. I think it could be used for the self. It could also be used for organizations, companies, you name it. So we're, doing in-person trainings, guest lectures about it, all kind of things. For individuals, we priced it accordingly, right? We thought about like how much it costs for a therapy session, because my work is always going to be a combination of education and therapies and creativity. And so a semester of a course is like, on a low ball is like 2 G's. And then therapy is like $150 a session or $200 sometimes. So we wanted to make sure that we are setting an example to Black women as they self-authorize and create content and are innovative, that you price yourself accordingly. And that is a really big exercise for Black women. We consistently undervalue and underprice our work.
Right. Let me say something about paying for Black women's work in general. We can't talk about freedom and we can't talk about liberation if we're not investing in our own and in ourselves. If we don't find the value in other Black people, specifically Black women's work, then we can't say every day, you got to know that you're worthy. You got to know what you're worth. And then when we reach out and say, hey, we've created this and this is how much it costs, then we get a lot of pushback. Part of liberation is investing in ourselves and investing in our own. And I think something great that happened is Thea created theory. I mean, it happened right here on our podcast when she first talked about the Underground Railroad. She created theory. I mean, that's what we have the capability to do. That's what she's asking you to invest in. Yeah. We talk about dismantling systemic and institutional racism all the time. Once we dismantle it, we have to have something in place to live by. Absolutely. And that's what this is. I love the course because I think that it goes by something that I always say. You got to be more committed to the healing than the fight. Because once the fight is over and we have created and built the promised land, we can't be broken living in the promised land.
And as you also always say, you got to bring something to yourself. And that's what I actually put that language in the introduction. Like, you're going to have to. Whatever I'm creating is going to be transformational. So whatever you think you're going to get when you start it, by the time you end it,
something else.
It's going to be something else, right? But there's different access points, right? Like, a way of investing could be like, if you work near a university or at a university, have them bring me out to talk about the course, have them bring me out to teach the course, whatever the case may be, any way that you can contribute to the spreading of it. Because at the end of the day, this is really about thinking of liberation outside of a socio-political lens, thinking of liberation as something that is accessible to us in the here and the now, that we actually have the tools to offer ourselves. And so I'll be doing like different talks about it. I'll be on IG about it, but I really wanted to share it here first because, like Crystal said, this was the first place I said it. Was on a DBM podcast.
Boom.
Magical things happen when we have spaces set aside to create.
Yes, right? Absolutely.
Yeah. I think that's beautiful. Yay, Thea.
So that's it. That's my big announcement. Thank you.
All right. I don't have my own platform yet.
You're working on it, though.
I'm working on it, though. Meanwhile, I'm going to use these good other folks' platforms. So, please find me at Gold Lactation. I did a fascinating, if I may say so myself, webinar in January on a phrase I have coined called breast side manner. And it is about
love it,
honey. Yes,
I
honey.
would have said titty.
Yeah,
That
you
is
would have.
good.
Okay.
That is
I
good.
would
So,
have.
I don't think titty side manner. I think that's something
I
you do
think
in a
that's
strip
cute.
club.
Titty
right,
side.
Something you do in a strip
right,
club.
exactly. What's your
And
titty side man?
that applies
Yeah.
to strip clubs.
So don't look for
I
that.
like
Look
titty
for
side. I think that's cute.
I know you
Titty
do.
side.
I know you do.
use
Like,
that.
and put it on one breast, and it
I
says
know you
titty
do.
side.
Some things that are birthed in this space should not be. Okay.
Some things,
So
not everything.
not everything's gonna be
that's
golden.
here is gonna
Okay.
flip the room.
That is wrong.
Gonna be some
You
hits
know
and
what's
some
messed up?
misses.
I never
I
throw shade at you guys. I
That's
get
not
to
true.
throw
That's not true.
shade on
Roll
you.
back the tape. Roll back.
Okay, so the lecturer's breastside manner is getting lots of wonderful feedback because it really is teaching the
Yay.
lactation professional how to be more gentle and present in their approach to care. It's a recording you can download, listen to it anytime at your leisure. The next one I'll be doing in March is on care plan. It's called marching orders. It's about the nice little sheet of paper we send parents home with, telling them what to do over the next few days and how we can make those much more easy to understand and easy to follow. And then the last one, I'll be on a panel talking about the way we market breast milk and breastfeeding. I'll be doing that in April. So catch me at Gold Lactation all spring long.
We'll have the link in our show notes, and we'll also share the link for the webinar just on our social media.
Yes, indeed. And if you decide you want to look more into becoming a lactation professional, please hit up Nikki and Nikki, Lactation Career Consultants. We have lots of great content telling you all about how to break into the profession, where to start, what you need to do to prepare for the exam. And we're starting to build some content now on how to be the absolute best professional you can be once you get there.
Yay.
That's all I got.
That's good stuff. Good stuff.
Yay.
We've been working, y'all. We wasn't just gone.
We
was
are.
doing
We've
stuff.
been working.
Yeah.
We've been working. We're all doing things. So please invest in this platform and invest in us. And at the very least, if you can't invest in a monetary way, there are other ways that you can invest. Share. Tell people about us. If you know businesses or organizations or schools, universities, talk to them about bringing us. So make sure that you're following us on social media at Them Black Mamas on all social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. So make sure you're following us and make sure you're subscribing. Don't just follow us. Don't just listen, subscribe and tell 2 friends about us. Tag them in our social media posts. And we're going to be on Facebook Live every...
Can we make promises?
We're going to be on there once a month. I don't know if it's second Sunday or fourth Sunday. I think it's second Sunday. But we're going to be on there once a month, capping 2 of our episodes. So look out for that as well. So don't just listen. Please subscribe. We're everywhere where podcasts can be found.
It's every second Sunday. And that's not
our first one is March 10th.
The old choir sings on second Sunday.
Does the old choir sing on second Sunday? The senior choir?
Let me think about that. I think she might be right. And that's where you hear moaning.
Exactly. Exactly.
You brought it back.
Right.
You brought it back.
Because with the youth choir, God can do just what he wants. You get all that. But with the, and you get the dance moves and you get the different layers to your music.
Second Sunday at my church is Youth Sunday.
Is it Youth Sunday?
Youth Sunday.
But you know, don't listen to me. You know I don't go. So I don't think anybody should be listening. It's been literally 20 years. So it's been like my non-going has an anniversary. That's how long it's been.
Yeah.
So every second Sunday we will be there. So I think that our
second Sunday
Facebook Live will be March 10th, second Sunday. Okay. So that concludes this episode's church announcements, and we had no prayer list requests.
So we are going to transition into our mac and cheese segment. And we wanted to start this year off, like we said, with engagement and connection and community. And did y'all not serve us some shit to start off this episode with? There's these segments in here where we're going to have to consult our legal team before we answer. We might answer in the third person. Everybody's got to do what they got to do to protect themselves on and off this podcast.
Do you want me to read the first one?
You know I do.
I ain't going to read it.
First one, because she's not going to read it because it got the P word in it.
I can't. I'm not going to be able to be caught on the recording saying that word.
NeKisha, why don't you say pussy? Why don't you say
you
just don't
have
like
to
the
say
word? You know, I'm cracked.
Chris chooses the raunchiest words.
I am really cracked. You just don't like
breast side matter, and she immediately said titty side matter.
I would have said titty side. I would have said titty side. And someone would have had to come along. Someone would have had to come along and say, hey, what about breast? And I would have resisted. and would not have gotten the webinar.
That's a good point. She
That's
wouldn't have
the
gotten
lesson. But you just
Okay.
don't like the way the word sounds?
Not in this setting.
Okay.
There's a time and a place. Say that.
Oh my God.
I love the accuracy.
The
The accuracy. Okay.
So, listener letter 1 is entitled My Truth. My husband likes me, but he's probably not in love with me. We have a 2-year-old son. I'm 41. He's 36. My husband doesn't cuddle with me at night. He kisses me when he's going to work, and that's dry at best. We had a long distance relationship while waiting on immigration to approve the marriage visa. We aren't compatible. We just make it work. He's ate my pussy once in 5 years. Let me read that again.
Rewind.
He's only ate my pussy once in 5 years. He has his own study room, and that's his main place in the home. He never buys me flowers. He hasn't taken me on a date in 6 months. I pay the majority of the bills, so he doesn't have a 20 to take me out. He's in LPN school. He's a nice person, but I don't want to be with him anymore. How do I break up?
She could just read him this message.
That would cover so much. That would cover quite a bit.
I mean, if it ain't over after that, I don't know what else to tell her.
Well, he doesn't know that she's sending this in to us. I mean, we don't have her name, you know.
Once she reads this to him.
Right.
You know what? Listen to this podcast, baby. Hit this up on your drive, on your commute.
So I would just say that the not.
Yes, just go for it. Just
the no oral sex. For me, that's a deal breaker. I'm very upfront with that at the beginning of a relationship. I think that this sounds like maybe a cultural thing, maybe. I don't know. I don't want to say
that could be a consideration.
I don't know what culture he is, but Black men, if this person's Black, have some hangups around performing oral sex. I guess I would just say, I don't think that we're meant to suffer in marriage. And I think marriages look like a lot of different things. If he's not willing to give oral sex, maybe there can be some negotiations made where they invite someone else. Somebody can be tagged in. I'm just saying, let's get out.
It's true. There's no box. There's no box.
This is what so as jarring as that line was, as jarring as all of it was, here's the thing. She's not asking us, should she stay with him?
Right. That's what I was saying.
How do I
break up?
I'm done.
Which goes back to NeKisha's original point. At this point, the decision sounds like it's been made. It's about informing him of the decision.
Yeah.
And also informing him of what we've been informed of. We don't know if he's perceived these things as issues the way that she has. We don't know what the communication has been like. So it seems like there needs to be some shared information. Whether that information is, I'm unhappy, or I'm out. We're at the point of information, not reflection. I think she's quite clear. This is not what she wants. So either they have to have a conversation with information that determines whether it can become what she wants, whether he has wants and desires that he's not expressing and that are also not being met, and whether or not they want to continue. This point is about information.
I agree. I mean, it's a wrap. So I don't know. What is the best way to break up with someone?
I do a workshop called The Healthy Breakup.
Okay.
What is that like? I've never had one of those.
I do a workshop called The Healthy Breakup. And it's really just about looking at deciding factors, making a clear decision, and then clearly communicating and then setting the appropriate boundaries afterwards, right? So it's like, okay, if we've assessed the situation and I've communicated what the likes and dislikes are, we've negotiated, found that we can't move forward, then I'm making the decision to end it. And then this is what I need that to look like. Because there could be mutual friends, there could be kids involved, there could be family involved. So how do we inform the other people? How do we want to go about events that we'll both be at? How do you want to be in contact? Do you want contact? So a healthy breakup has a lot to do with being clear and communicative. And not avoiding and not blaming.
How do they have the conversation about the 2-year-old?
I mean, there has to be a conversation about custody arrangement.
Yeah.
And what's best for this baby in terms of how they interact with each other. I think it's moving towards dislike, which is why something has to be done sooner than
she's
later.
disgusted. He doesn't eat her out. She's disgusted.
Is that how she feels, Crystal? That's how she feels.
And I mean, and we don't know how he's feeling. I always say if we hold on to something longer than we should, it begins to erode things from the inside. Take something that was once good or okay and turn it into something that's no longer helpful for us.
Right. And you become mad at a person for being who they are. And if that's
right.
But I tell you what, I wish in my 20s someone would have had a healthy breakup. So
well, I offered on a college campus. That's a good point. I should offer it on my Patreon. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I will.
It could have been so different. It could
all. Listen, I mean, the reason I started it was because of ghosting. And I realized a lot of people were avoiding breakups, but also hanging in there way too long and like really fucking shit up along the way. You know what I'm saying? Just like dragging it out.
Or texting breakups, I think probably in this
really yes, it was all so awful. And it, you know, what does Lauryn Hill always say? It could all be so simple. But you rather make it hard. You'd rather. Crystal, you ghosted because I saw you put the paper up over you ghosted.
I've ghosted.
And you know, then that leaves somebody coming in my session like, I don't understand. You know, you leave me to pick up the pieces. And I just thought I'd get ahead of the problem and sort out some of these sessions.
Yeah. My 20s could have been so different. And
so could other people's apparently because you ghosted.
Yes, exactly. Now those other people need other sessions of Thea's.
Yeah. Now I gotta go fix that.
Okay. So thank you for writing us. Thea, do you want to give our disclaimer?
What our legal team has advised us to say is, do not blame us for fucking up your life. if you wrote it to us,
that's it.
These are third party opinions. You know so much about us. You know who to listen to, not listen to. So no excuse. I do not want no Twitter war with
static.
somebody.
I don't want no static.
No static with somebody talking about they said, you know how we get down, okay? You wrote us. We're offering you our best. And you know, that could be given the morning. Did I have tea this morning? Did I pray? We don't know these things. I'm giving you what I got in this moment. And then you need to get it out as fast as possible.
Oh. Was that part of the... Okay.
It's part of the healing process.
Just go sit on a face.
Go find you a face. Basically, hashtag find a face.
That's it.
So thank you so much for writing us and to think enough of us that you want to hear what we have to say, even if you don't take the advice you want. So question two is specifically for Thea and NeKisha. I guess they didn't have no questions for me.
Maybe they heard
I think that first one was for you.
Maybe they heard some previous advice that you gave. It was like, no.
She don't do nothing.
Oh gosh.
I mean, you know, I did feel some type of way because I feel like she could have just thrown a question in there for me just to make me feel good. You know what I'm saying? Like she could have just asked me some bullshit, like how long it take you to edit the podcast. You feel me? Like that's some bullshit, but she didn't know. I mean, I can't hate on her for that. You know, that's me. That's me and my feelings. But when we get some money, we'll send her a t-shirt anyway. So this is from My Blossoming Flower on Instagram.
That's a beautiful name.
Hey girl.
Don't you like that? I love that. And she says, one of my favorite episodes that you guys did was episode 19, where you guys were very open with your audience. It allowed your listeners to feel that connection with you ladies as you experience changing your life and deal with the many emotions. Thank you for allowing us to experience that. My first question is for Thea. I remember she put her book on hold, and I just wanted to know where she at with that at this time.
Thank you so much for following up with that. And thank you so much for appreciating that episode, because that literally came from the bowels of our being. It was not intentional, but we were so glad we did that one. So that particular book, I've kind of brought back to myself, and I've kind of reclaimed it so that I can have more authority. And so there's a couple avenues I'm exploring with it. But what I did do was continue working on another book. And I finished that book. And so that book is now out to be reviewed for submission and hopefully picked up by a publisher, in which case that I can revisit even more options that I want to do for the book that I originally pulled back. And I think the biggest lesson I learned from that is to not feel forced into something, even if it's a dream or idea I started, right? Be open to that changing and shifting and taking on a life of its own, and really trust the relationship between myself and what I've created.
Ooh, trust.
Yeah, because that relationship between who we are, the creator, and the creation is real, and it's alive, and it changes and it morphs. And I wasn't allowing it to do those things. I was just sort of controlling it into what I wanted it to be from the beginning. It was very clear that in doing so, I had sort of surrendered a lot of things and deauthorized a lot of things that made the work powerful to begin with. So I have it. It's definitely something I'm going to be releasing. I'm just now really thinking about and letting it show me how it wants to be released, whether that's a film, whether that's publishing it on my own, whether that's with a major publisher. I just needed to pull it back and be pushing it for the right reasons without all the things I had attached to it. I had so many outcomes attached to it that all had to die. And so it was a very important lesson. And then hopefully the other book, which I was able to fall in love with by pulling that book back, because I had been working on that one and I loved it, but I wasn't as in love with it because all my heart was with this other book. And so when I was able to pull that one back, I was able to really pour into the second one. And I would be deeply honored even if that were the first book to come out as well.
I want to say that it got to the point where it no longer became about the book. It was about you making it and getting that deal. And so the work was no longer centered, which was your intention. And I love what you said about trusting the work. And I think that that's something that as creatives, we have to do. Once we complete the work, we have to trust the work and its own journey. You know what I'm saying?
That was one of my favorite episodes, and it's because it was unplanned, and we showed up really vulnerable that day and just laid it all bare for you all to join that part of our journey with us. And one of the things that came out, like Crystal said, is just your art makes room for itself. Like it is created, and it's not going to come back void. It is put into the world to do a thing, and it's going to complete that journey, whatever that looks like. It may not look like what we planned, but if we just allow it the space, it will find its way. And I believe that. And so look at the beauty that came out of that situation with her second book now getting the love and the attention that it needed. And it wasn't able to get because we were so focused on the first. I love the story. I love where she's at with it. And thank you for asking that question.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
I think that this podcast is an example of allowing art to take its own journey, because I think when we started, we thought that we would be talking about the kids. We thought we'd be talking about, because our first episode was our reaction to the 2016 election. We thought we'd be talking about politics more. And we're in year 3 now, and we're in such a different space in terms of what we talk about, in terms of what we're focused on. And so had we been rigid and said, well, we're Black moms, so we have to talk about our kids. And, we're a podcast that centers the mom. We highlight the fact that we're creatives and we have a connection to Black maternal health, a strong connection to people working in that field. And I don't think that we envisioned that when we first started out.
I think that through this process, we've learned even more. I think we all knew going in, but that obviously we were mothers and that informs the work that we do. But we have always been so much more than our mothering, right? And so we're able to bring our whole selves to this space, and you all get the benefit of that. It's a beautiful thing. All right.
So she says, and then my second question is for Miss NeKisha. Isn't it interesting that she called NeKisha Miss NeKisha and she said Thea? She's Thea.
Perhaps I sound much older than you guys. Perhaps she thinks I'm the elderly mom.
I mean, I cuss like a sailor. She probably was like that bitch. I'm not gonna say listen for her. You know what I'm saying? I got what, 8, 9 tattoos. I don't know. I don't get missed very often.
So my second question is for Miss NeKisha. I know that you are a writer and you have worked for an independent publishing firm. So I would like to know, what advice could you give an individual who is wanting to self-publish their work? What would be the steps that one should take? I think it's a great question.
It's a
NeKisha.
great question.
Great question.
Woo! Yeah. So the very first piece of advice I give to anyone who says they're writing a book is to write. And it sound, of course, but it is the hardest step to accomplish. Put pen to paper. You may have a fantastic idea, a vision for this book, but if you have not put pen to paper and really gotten it out and poured it out to see what you have to work with, then it never, ever will move forward from that first step. And so please take the time to get it out. You may find that once you type it, you don't even have enough words for a brochure. So,
Right.
you may have a blog post is what you might have. You might not have the book. All right. So it don't have to be 100,000 words like Thea's books. Thea writes, lovely novels, but you got it. You need to be aiming for 40, 50,000 words to start. See if you can reach that point first. That gives you something to work with in terms of seeing, is the whole story here? Does it make sense? Is it flowing in order? Is it chronological? Or, am I jumping around? Am I missing complete parts of my story? What is happening here?
That's good.
And so first, start by writing. I promise you, probably out of 10 people who come to me and ask me this question or ask me to help them with their book, this is the answer I give consistently. 1, maybe 2 will come back with the book they're written.
I still wouldn't be back if I had went 2 years ago. I'd be like, I still ain't wrote the book yet. But that's why I think it's good advice, because we start with, an idea and we're trying to get connected into someone to publish it, and we don't even have a thing.
Y'all know how I feel about this.
Yes.
Y'all know how I feel. If I say I have $1 million that I want to invest in you, what do you have to show me? And you like, well, I got this idea. I'm walking away with my $1 million check.
Yeah.
Because I can't give you a check, a physical, tangible thing, and I'm not getting back a physical, tangible thing.
Unless you're a white man and your last name is Fry.
That's
Just
it.
put it out
And
there.
we saw how that worked out. And with what NeKisha's saying is, I never think about my word count. I always just get up and set a certain amount of time per day to write until I'm finished. I even on my computer will block the word count. I will use a Post-it and block that off. Because if you think about that, then you're writing from the wrong place. You're putting a lot of pressure on yourself.
I agree with that.
What I do is I block it and I set the time and I tell the story till it's done. On my first novel that I completed, that crap was like 119 pages when I finished the first one, which is a lot of pages. But my point is, like, that's not novel size, right? But that was okay, because what that became was the skeleton. That first draft is all about finishing. You finish the first draft, you got a book, because all you're doing after that is editing. But that first draft, you just literally have to finish.
What would be your next,
I would agree.
for self-publishing, what would be your next thing, NeKisha?
Yeah, so after writing and then rewriting, until you feel like you've got the whole story out, self-publishing is a little bit different. I always recommend folks have a team, because there are platforms you can use, Amazon and a couple of other places.
Create a space.
Yes, yeah, they help you with soup to nuts. They can put the whole book together for you, give you a Amazon page to sell it and everything. But it helps to have another set of eyes that can edit. You editing your own work.
I can't see your face.
My face says, "Don't do it, girl. Don't do it. Don't edit your own
blind
work."
spot.
Your mind already knows what that sentence is supposed to say, and that's what it sees. And you got to have somebody else take a look at it. So you want to find a team. You want to find an editor. You want to find somebody who's great at graphics who can help you maybe visualize or illustrate what it is you really want the book to be about for the cover.
Do you think that that's something that they should be willing to pay for?
Yes.
An editor, graphic design. Okay.
Yes.
Or barter.
Yeah. But don't take advantage of these folks' time, because this is their creative outlet as well. Just like you're a writer, they're an artist and an editor, and they need something for their time, even if it's to just be mentioned and given credit on the book. And then, all those other platforms help you from there and help you figure out how you want to distribute it, how much of it you want to make from it. There's a lot of competitive ones out there. I would stay away from those self-publishing companies that are clearly trying to sell you a thing. Lots of those
What
want
do
a
you
lot
mean
of
by
money up
that?
front. There's a lot of them that market to you heavily. So they'll be calling you nonstop once you drop your email or phone number on their website. And really what they want is a lump sum of money up front to publish your book, and they take a good chunk of the royalties. That's not necessarily true self-publishing where you do it all on your own. And there are enough platforms out there to do it on your own if you have a little bit of a team around you to help you with those other components, that you truly will be managing the process. I don't knock the companies that help you self-publish. It's the kind of work that I do for very few clients. If you want somebody to actually write the book for you, if you have that idea but you're not a writer, no, those companies are better at helping you with ghostwriting and then the editing and artwork and getting the actual book put together. But if you want to write it yourself, then I certainly encourage you to go for more of a self-publishing avenue such as Amazon and CreateSpace and others. Do your homework, do your research, compare, find out which of those is not a huge investment for you up front, but you get to keep the majority of the royalties in the end.
And I would say, as an artist, we're so focused on our work, that if you're going to self-publish, then I would say put money into PR. Like if you can find someone to help you push, and not just someone to run your social media, but someone who can
to get into interviews and help you
do traditional PR.
I would agree. The other thing I would want to make sure to mention early on in the process when you get one of those early drafts is make sure you are really clear on who your audience is. And that may require a revision or two. That's how you'll know who to market it to in the end, right? So that PR, that marketing strategy, once you are clear who your reader would be, then you go after those folks and you try and make sure that you are putting yourself into spaces where you can reach more of that audience. But that's a later step. Let me be clear. In my own book, like Chris said, 2 years in, haven't finished it. Haven't finished that, but I have made adjustments along the way to who the audience is. And each time I tweak that a little bit, it gives me more clarity about the work. It helps me to get further along in writing it. Nail that down early on. Don't just write for the sake of writing. Really listen to your heart in terms of who you are trying to help and who needs this story, and write to them.
And you said something that also could be scary. It's like a couple drafts, just that phrase. So I keep copies of all my drafts. I've learned to enjoy the editing process. And I know that's like rough. And I know sometimes it's multiple drafts. And I'll be honest, if I get feedback and I have to change something, I'm like, where am I going to find the time, right? The big thing for us is always time. But the reality is it takes time to be to a point where you want it to be there. So I would say release the constraints around the time and really be more concerned with doing it in a way that's authentic to you, in a way that's clear for you. Because having multiple drafts, I mean, even the book you asked me about, from its first draft to, I think I did like 9 drafts of that book. Ooh. And I will say, each draft got better and better because I was learning something more about writing from the feedback I was getting, and then I wanted to go in there and edit out filler words, which I didn't even know was a thing. It gets better and better. That's just a part of the process. The editing is definitely a big part of it.
We're gonna be talking about being a Black Mama Creative a lot more this year. We're launching Black Mama Creative Week in June, and I just want to add that I think the hardest thing for an artist, why I say PR, is because we create the work, and then to have to go and push the work can be exhausting.
That's always where I run out of steam.
Yes. Right. And so if you have a friend who's just starting out in PR, maybe you guys barter, maybe you guys work together. If you can't hire a PR person or a PR firm, find somebody in your circle who can maybe do that for you. And I'll never forget one of the things that Issa Rae said is that, we always focus on trying to get here and trying to work with these people, work with these people. She worked laterally. She didn't try to work up. She worked laterally. The people who helped her with Awkward Black Girl and Insecure, they were all her friends. They were already in her circle. And so look around in your tribe and look around in your circle. And if you can't give money, then again, barter. Hey, you do this well and I do this well. So we make a trade? Because it's nothing more disappointing. And as someone who has to promote a podcast, your listeners, it's nothing harder than feel like you have this great product, but you don't have the time, energy, or know-how to get the word out about it. So I would say invest in PR in some way, shape, or form beyond social media.
Yeah.
So you were a part of that question.
Yeah, but I just want to let you know that I'm a playwright. I write across all genres. I also edit the podcast. I know a lot about podcasting. I got 4 kids that range in age from like 4 to 22. So,
send her a question. Yeah.
If you got any questions for me,
so here, take this next question. You want me to read this one? Take this next question.
And this question,
I don't want this one.
I'm
gonna take it.
Here,
no,
it's
you
the
get
one that I
you
don't want to take.
I don't want.
And this question came from one of our most, like, she is a legit fan. Like, she stands for us. It came from Alicia Michelle. So shout out to Alicia, because she stands for us. She keeps in contact with us. She messages us. She comments on our stuff. So shout out to you. Shout out.
We have a shirt. We got to get her a shirt.
Yeah, we got to get her a shirt. She stands for us. So you want to read the question?
Okay. Because I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it because this kind of stuff gives my pressure up.
Ooh, child.
So I'm not doing it. Okay. So this is for y'all. Okay. How do we feel about John Gray thanking his wife for raising him? And I'm going to mute myself at this moment, y'all, because I don't want to say nothing.
Why don't you want to say anything? I think what you have to say on this could actually be really good. And I think it needs to be said.
She gonna have something to say. Just give her a minute. She gonna have something.
Okay. You want to go, NeKisha? You want me to go?
Okay, listen. I know you got something to say too. This is off the cuff for me because I refused to think about it earlier. So, I mean, if you want to be real. So I saw the piece about him thanking his wife for raising him. I also saw the piece where they low-key confessed to his infidelity and the wife was saying that the devil made him do it.
We give the devil way too much credit.
So I don't think that he is big on accountability, and taking responsibility for things that he has done. So listen, we all come into relationships with room to grow and ways that we can continue to mature and be closer to being our best selves. But the thought that he came in as a child and needed to be raised, here's what we not going to do. I'm not going to raise a whole
like I hear a black mama say coming through.
Oh, listen.
Here's what we not going to do.
Here's what we not going to do. I'm not going to raise somebody another woman has already raised. You come to me age of accountability, a grown adult person. It's not my job to raise you. We can grow together. We can learn some things together, but you better, okay. See, I almost went on another way.
The pressure's going up.
It is. How do I feel about it? I feel like that's some bull. This is not going to be the end of their marital woes. We will see more and more and more of this because they
are
not being honest with themselves.
You don't need none to see that.
I feel every aspect of growth and progress in this world, people put on the back of Black women.
Say that.
And I wish that Black women were given as much grace in relationships as Black men are. We're told to pray for our husband, to be ready for our husband. Like, we're told to prepare ourselves for our husbands. We're supposed to be perfect when we arrive in the relationship. We can't have no flaws. God forbid you got kids. God forbid you done slept with more than 3 men. You know what I'm saying? We aren't given the latitude to figure ourselves out. We have to have it already figured out by the time we're 15. We're supposed to know everything about womanhood. And if we reach an adult age and we don't, then I don't ever hear anybody saying, or a man saying, I raised my wife, or I helped my wife grow, or I gave her the latitude to grow. But that's expected of Black women to do. And the other part of it is, in order to change this dynamic, we need to do a better job of examining how partnerships are defined. When your culture is rooted in patriarchy, marriage is the ultimate pinnacle of a relationship. It is the ultimate partnership. And I think that is so problematic, because that tells us that we're supposed to sacrifice everything in order to be and in order to stay married. But one of the things that I wrote back to her was this: Black women must stop priding ourselves on being the backbone of the community. When we do that, we become participants in perpetuating the notion that it is us alone who can save the community. I think that's killing us. We all like the idea of being on a throne in some sense, consciously or unconsciously. Here's the thing though. What are the expectations that come with that? And what is it costing us in terms of mental, physical, spiritual, and financial stability when that support is not mutual? And when you call someone a queen, Black women work too hard to be queens. Queens don't work that hard. Queens got a team.
Mm-hmm.
You hear me?
Agreed.
Queens got a team that do a bunch of shit for them. If you look at all that Black women have to do, it took how many years for what R. Kelly was doing? It took a 6-part documentary and over 20 years for this man's career to be in peril. It took 2 years for Harvey Weinstein.
Ugh.
So that tells you the value that we place on the lives of Black women.
Yep.
And to me, it's all rooted in patriarchy. And we really have to think about these terms, kings and queens. You said, my wife covered me. What did that cost her to hold that?
I decided this year I'm going to be less emotionally invested in foolishness. So
Yes.
I would just tell you, love and basketball. That's all I'm saying. Just leave that out there. It's part of my theoretical framework that has convinced a generation of people that Black women have to endure extreme sacrifice for love or what resembles it.
Love should not be about sacrifice. Love should be about expansion.
Ooh, that's good. Write that down. That's good stuff.
Right? I just think we have to redefine a lot of things. And again, I'm going to take it back. That's why the Underground Railroad is so important.
I'm just saying, cop that. Cop that.
If you want to tithe, give your money to platforms that uplift Black women and truly treat them like queens.
Yeah.
So you can't respect me and honor me and treasure me.
Right.
And then fuck up and expect me to do your healing for you, to expect me to give you space for your healing. No, you go find your own space to heal.
Or better yet, create a space for all of us.
Thank you.
Co-create a space where we can all heal, not just you all the damn time.
So thanks, Alicia Boo. Thanks for the question.
Thanks for starting that shit, Alicia. We love you for starting that shit.
We love you.
So this one, we have been advised not to answer as Thea, NeKisha, and Crystal. So we will be answering this question as Cece, Tamra, and Nadine. So that the peoples don't come knocking at our door.
So that the people
for our kids. This next question is, how do we feel about spankings and whoopings? And so we will share what Cece, Nadine, and Tamra have to say about these topics, because Thea and NeKisha and Crystal are not here right now to answer this question.
So,
you want me to go or you go?
I think Tamra should go last because she can connect this to Thea's course of Underground Railroad.
Yes, because Tamra is very familiar with Thea's course. Yes.
Yeah, right, exactly. I will say that oftentimes physical discipline is rooted in parental fear and frustration. The child is not getting what you need for them to get in an adequate amount of time. And the long-term fear is that it'll have ultimate consequences for them down the line. And whether you know that consciously or unconsciously, it's something that I had to really examine within myself as someone who has moved away from physical discipline. And it's and I'll say it's tough to move away from physical discipline if that's how you grew up and you feel like you turned out fine, you feel like it didn't harm you. But when we know better, we do better. And maybe our parents didn't have access to the information or the understanding that we have access to today. And so I am not an advocate of physical discipline. And when I have done it, I feel horrible, horrible afterwards. Did my kid get the lesson? Yeah. Was it impactful long term? Yeah, they didn't do that anymore. But what is the disconnection? What is the damage that I ended up having to repair?
Yeah.
And I just don't like it. I don't like how it made me feel. I don't like the look in their eyes. I'm committed to raising free children. I have to be committed to raising free children. And using physical force to get someone to do what I want to do is violent. And I don't want to perpetuate that in any way, shape, or form with my children. And so I had to buckle down and really dig deep and find some things within myself, because I'm the one with the power in that situation. So I have to figure out what is motivating me to exert my power in that way. And I wasn't showing my children how to be their higher selves. And so, I had to wake up earlier in the mornings and pray before my kids got up. My children had to see me breathing in situations where I'm frustrated, that behavior. But it was tough because I didn't feel like I was abused as a child. I still don't feel like I was abused as a child. I didn't feel like spanking harmed me in any way, shape, or form. I love my mom to pieces. She's like the light of my life. But again, when we know better, we do better. We have more information. We are a generation that's able to be more in tune emotionally than the previous generation has because of the freedoms that they fought and died for. And I don't think we think about freedom in those terms. We often think about freedom in material things and material terms, but we don't think about freedom in mental and spiritual terms. Like I get to think about things mentally and spiritually that my mother didn't have the time and space to when you're growing up in the 50s and 60s. You know, your mental and spiritual energy is going to something else, another level of survival.
I love that you talked about how it felt, like seeing their eyes, how you
felt.
And anything,
God.
You know, this really relates to Black people and trauma and how we normalize trauma and how we normalize fear and pain as a part of the experience. And yes, those things are a part of a human experience, but they're also too normalized and too intertwined into our Blackness. Like it's not that normal. It's not that much a part of the human experience for everybody. And so when you can notice things like how you feel afterwards, how they feel, how they look, you're beginning to have that experience from within the body. Because when we get angry, we usually leave our body. What do people say? They say they black out. They say they lost control. Anything we do in that state, we're not connected to. If we had to disconnect to do something, then that means that we did not do it with intention, and we definitely couldn't have done it with love, right? But there's also people who they can stay in their bodies and inflict that because it was inflicted on them a certain way. So for them, it's just like what you do. I think that part is really important for parents to assess, you know, because I'm not going to say whether it's a right or wrong tool for them, but a way to assess that is, how do you feel after? How do you feel during? How does your child respond? What do they look like? How are they looking at you? Creating it an in-body experience with it to see if it's something that both of you feel really terrible about. I guarantee you, you're both creative and beautiful enough to create another thing that could accomplish what you want to accomplish. You and your child can create that together.
Thank you, Crystal. Or what's your name? Cece?
Cece. That was Cece.
Thank you, Cece. That was very enlightening. I feel like your truth is really powerful, given that you have sons, little boys. It's a lot of energy.
That's what people always tell me.
One of the things that really early in my mothering, I was at a mall and in an elevator, and there was a sister who was young, and she had a baby boy, probably, if I had to guess, he was about 9 months old, still in a stroller. He had a little bottle that she was feeding him, and she was talking to him like he was a grown man. Shut up, little boy, I will slap you.
That hurts my heart so bad.
It was horrible. It shifted something in me as a mother to help me to always see my children as the children that they are. Not that they're less human, not that they're less whole, but that they are so young and so impressionable. I really need to come at them from a different space. And so that was probably when the seeds started to be planted. And I didn't really have a sense that Black folk didn't spank. That was a weird thing. You know what I mean? I thought all Black folk pop bottoms. What? You know what I mean?
That's what we do.
A kid who doesn't get spanked, you know what I mean, is identified by their bad behavior and their mouthing off. And that's because nobody popped them. You know what I mean?
It's because nobody popped them.
I didn't really have a sense that this was an
not because nobody talked to them. Because
nobody popped them.
She need to be popped in the mouth. That's what's wrong with her.
That's what's wrong with her. That's how they said. Yeah, that's how they said. Yeah.
You could tell her mama don't. You could tell her mama don't put that belt or that switch out. You know, kind of thing. And so this for me was a real growing experience. As progressive as I think I am, as evolved as I think I am as a mom, it really was a growing experience for me to get to a place where I recognized how my children responded, and I recognized that what I was instilling in them was fear. So what we can be instilling is obedience, but in a way that's harmful, right? They're just blindly obedient to any authority and not thinking for themselves and afraid to speak their own opinion and have a divergent viewpoint. And so, you know, it took me some time to get to that space. I'll be honest. And I am continuing to grow as a mom. What helps me is having a partner and watching them discipline. My partner does not always have the same approach that I would.
My partner ain't got no approach. My partner is like, I don't want to do that. They're not gonna like me.
So, I said to my partner, you know what? I don't really
For
think
real.
she's in it that way. She's kind of having a moment. She's in her emotions right now. This is kind of what puberty does. And then I can help my partner see things differently. My partner can help me see things differently.
What helped me was sometimes just taking a moment and looking at my children and realizing how old they are.
Yes.
Because I don't think we do that enough. We're so keen on getting them to a certain point that we don't take a moment to realize where they are now. My brother had to have a talk with my mom about that because she was talking to RJ like he was, like you said, like a grown man. And my brother was like, Mom, he was 8. He's like, he's 8. And she was like, he's just so smart, though. It makes me feel like he's older. And my brother was like, so he should be punished?
But he's not. Yeah.
But people think of Black children as older in general.
Absolutely.
Including Black. Well, we had to grow up faster.
Right.
I mean, that's a real thing. Not just the outside world. When we think about like Tamir Rice,
Adultifying.
The adultifying happens within. But I was thinking about that this morning because I was like, we do have high expectations for our children to function at a high level. But here's the reality. Only in certain places in the world are you considered an adult at 18. In most places that we originate from, you had to start demonstrating maturity and adulthood younger, not just for survival, but because of what you could potentially have the power to get yourself into, right? Like the moment you can get yourself pregnant, or the moment you can get somebody pregnant, you can change a life. You can change many lives, right? And so preparing you at 18 and 21 versus preparing you when you are able to do things that can't be reversed. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I just think that process of helping them become adults and learn the power of being an adult and their maturity is still about a grooming with compassion and love and patience. You're still teaching them, this is why it's important that you know this. This is why it's important that you can do this. They're still learning. It's still a mentorship.
And we have to redefine protection. When Shira was in high school, I wasn't always focused on her reaction to things or how she acted out. I was always asking myself, okay, what am I supposed to learn in this moment? What does she need in this moment? And what does she need to be protected from? And so that helped me create a plan to work through the situation. And it wasn't easy. And sometimes it took days.
But all of that, what you're talking about, requires that adults be willing to grow and not see themselves as a finished product, but see themselves as an evolving being, just like their children are. Because then we can say, oh, what is my child trying to teach me in this moment? If we're thinking that our children have nothing to teach us, nothing to offer us, no lessons, and that we know everything, we're not benefiting from the relationship the way that we could be.
I think some of this involves having a circle, having some folks around you who have other ways, who help you think of other ways to engage with your children. It's a gift, I think, to have a circle that reminds you that you should be learning from your children and growing with them. Yeah. I look back, you guys hit on a key point. I look back sometimes at pictures of my children, and my oldest was like 3 or 4, and I'm like, she was such a baby. I had such high expectations of her in that moment. And I remember disciplining her for a thing at that age. And I look back now and I'm like,
Black folks have the highest expectations. Like when you take that story, you see about the 9-month-old, like she really expected him cognitively. Like you can't say that we have low expectations for our children. I mean, sometimes they're like irrationally high.
But some of that is based on some shit that was handed down to us that was toxic. And harmful and tragic and traumatic.
We can't react to white supremacy by keeping our children captive or by oppressing our children. Absolutely. That's not the correct response to white supremacy.
That's quotable too, girl. Write that down. That's good.
Right there. I'm gonna have a course at the end, Thea. I'm gonna have a course. And then my blossom can ask me some questions.
You know what? My flowering blossom.
My
blossoming flower.
Okay. But thank you so much for that.
I got a question I've submitted.
Somebody submitted a question? Oh, from you?
Not me. I just want to know how y'all feel about B. Smith's husband and girlfriend living in the home right now.
This is the thing for me. If I were in B. Smith's condition, and Q Baby and I have had a conversation about this, if I was in her condition, I would want him to have a physical relationship that fulfills him, because we exist on 3 levels, and people don't always like to talk about the physical level.
More than 3, yeah.
But people
do you need it right in your house, right there?
Well, that's what I was gonna say. You can't move in my house, and for the sake of my children and for the sake of my family and community, I would ask that you be discreet about it. Because even though I tell him it wouldn't bother me, it may bother them, because people have other ideas about what a relationship should look like. For me, I wouldn't want her moved in, but I would be okay with my husband having a physical relationship. Now, here's the thing. I don't know if him and B had that conversation. In the article, it said she had an issue with him being such a big flirt. And she is a Black woman who cannot speak for herself. So we don't know what she wants. I will admit that being a caretaker is hard, but I just feel like if he is going to do that and we don't know what she wants, then I just think he should be more discreet about it.
I don't know who Crystal is at this moment right now. I don't know. I don't know who this person is. I don't know who this person is. I'm not going to be emotionally invested in this. What I
girl.
do is put my energy into resurrecting B. Smith one good, clear ass time so that she can cuss this mofo out. Yes. So that she can beat the shit out of the girlfriend and make it clear in writing, signed in her most clear state what her wishes are. I'm going to put my energy into manifesting this clear moment of clarity for her, because I think 10,000 ancestors would jump out of my body and choke somebody if I had built an empire. 10,000 and jump out of my body and literally drag and strangulate someone who was living off the fruit of my labor while I was still breathing in the home.
She said 10,000 ancestors
would leap out of my body. Let me tell you something, because you knew what you signed up for. All these possibilities on the table. It's like buying a pack of cigarettes. The warning is on the side of the label. It never says that when I lose my mind, you get to move a white bitch in. It don't say that on the side of the label. It don't say that.
Honey.
10,000 ancestors.
That's all I got. That's all I'm going to give. I send that prayer. I'm sending so much ashe to B. Smith this moment that y'all gonna see in the paper. Next thing you know, she's gonna have a lucid will. It's just gonna be up there. They're gonna be like, where did this come from? She been snapped back and got a notary in place. I'm a will a notary to her house just in time for her to wake up.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna manifest this whole thing right now.
Go ahead. I am on board with that plan.
Oh my God.
I don't know who Crystal is
I don't
either,
know
girl.
what that was about.
I don't know.
Let her do it. I just let her do it.
Thank you so much for
You find
answering.
your inner Pelosi right now, boo.
Ooh. We should give Crystal that clap. That clap.
Okay, so we're gonna round out with just some listener love. I want to shout out Anita Yoshi Moreno. She says, "Hi, I hope this message finds you well. I'm a doula working in Cleveland, Ohio area. I recently discovered your podcast and have made it about halfway through all the episodes. My target demographic is Black women in an effort to make some kind of difference in the maternal and fetal mortality crisis that we're having in my county. I am in the process of setting up my website, and I was wondering if you all would mind if I referenced your podcast or posted any episodes that speak to me personally or professionally. This is what we're talking about by investing in, supporting, and uplifting and amplifying Black women, even if you can't do it with dollars. We want to shout out Anita because she's doing it through and with her own platform.
Yes, thank you so much.
Her doula services is called Iyami. Iyami, Iyami, and she's in Lakewood, Ohio, and we'll have a link for her doula services in our show notes. We've gotten so much listener love. Just shout out a couple of people: Luann Watley, again, Alicia Michelle, Sophia Unity, who has been rolling with us since back in the day. Hey, boo, and who also bought a ton of merchandise. Thank you so much for investing in us.
Thank you.
And Denise doing Shanika L. Cooper. I'm not sure how I stumbled upon you guys in November, but when I tell you that you all have changed my life, I'm 28 years old, engaged, and have an 18-month-old daughter. You guys are my zen on the way to work. I will listen to your episodes, the same ones, over and over again, whenever I need a refresher or reminder of who I am, my purpose, or the power in being a Black woman. You guys be having me in my feels. When I'm having a stressful day at work on my break, I scroll through episodes to find the one that would speak to me at that moment.
I love it.
And last, shout out to Cage Bird on SoundCloud, who always shares our episodes. This is about episode 19, the raw and uncut episode. She said, when one of you said, while they sleep, we're working, this immediately made me think of Proverbs 31, the virtuous wife. Verse 15 says, she also rises while it is yet night and provides food for her household and a portion for her maidservant. This is one of the places we as women learn this hustle. The rest of the chapter speaks on her hustle. Real estate, winery, she takes time to work out. She girds herself with strength and strengthens her arm, and then continues to take care of her business and the house, home, husband, and kids, and the community. She extends her hand to the poor. All this we learn if we're not busy and hustling and constantly pouring ourselves into everything and everyone, then we're not virtuous. This year, I have been more tired often than not because I'm always where I'm needed. And then every now and then I distribute the no. I'm not doing that. And I have to counsel myself out of feeling bad about it. We wear the mask so much and so often they become who we are. Yeah.
That was a
so
word.
Thank you so much for commenting on SoundCloud. Your comments are welcomed on there. We take them in. They keep us grounded because it's a grind to continue to do this and continue to produce episodes. And these things motivate us. So shout out to everybody who wrote to us. Shout out to everybody who's left a review, who's left a comment, and who shared our episodes. We appreciate you. And we are so, so grateful for you. And we are inspired by you to keep going. So we're going to transition into our collection plate cause. Collection plate causes are causes, organizations, initiatives, art projects we feel deserves to be amplified and are worthy of your time, attention, and yes, sometimes your money. If you can't donate, we ask that you pass the collection plate by sharing information about it on social media using the hashtag collection plate cause. And this episode's collection plate cause is Speaking Down Barriers. Speaking Down Barriers is an organization located here in my hometown of Spartanburg, South Carolina, founded by Marlanda DeKine, who is an artist and a queer woman of color living in the South. Speaking Down Barriers is a team of listeners, healers, artists, researchers, teachers, theologians, and creatives who work together to offer encounters that transform our life together across human difference. Using spoken word poetry, transformative dialogue, workshops, and deep listening as tools, we are working with people, communities, organizations, and institutions to build an equitable world through healing and justice. You can find out more about Speaking Down Barriers at speakdownbarriers.org. They're on Facebook at Speaking Down Barriers and on Instagram and Twitter at SpeakDWN Barrier. So please donate to them. Not only is it an organization committed to dismantling systemic and institutional oppression, but it's an organization committed to healing. And if you have a collection plate cause in mind that you feel needs to be amplified, send us the information. We're specifically looking for things that focus on Black women and dismantling systemic and institutional oppression.
All right, now it's time for our Black Mama Say segment, which is our final segment of every show. It's where we put our own twist on sayings from Black mamas. This episode's Black Mama Say is, you can take that to the bank.
So this year, I am committed to watching C-SPAN. And the reason that I'm committed to watching C-SPAN is because Maxine Waters is head of the financial committee for the House of Representatives. And C-SPAN shows the uncut version of whatever meeting she's holding. Maxine Waters was the only person to hold hearings about the CIA putting drugs in the Black community. So I am confident. So I feel like Maxine Waters is going to bring it. And you can take that to the bank and you can bet your bottom dollar on Maxine Waters because I feel like she's going to put more dollars in more Black folks' pockets. So you can take that to the bank and tune in to C-SPAN with me. She has not held a hearing yet, but I follow her on Twitter because I'm
waiting. You don't want to miss that.
With bated breath.
I'm going to pick up where Crystal left off.
Okay.
Because I have been praying. I've been praying for a petty warrior in Washington. I have been praying. I've been saying it consistently. God. I can't see another do-gooder. I can't see another,
You can't see another do-gooder.
I can't. I'm not even attracted to it at all. When they asked Nancy Pelosi,
oh my God,
what will you do if he comes here to do the speech? And she said, well, he could do it outside. And then she gave that petty ass clap at the State of the Union. I just want you to understand, prayer works, y'all. I have been asking, because I can't watch that stuff because nothing is really happening. It's just all a bunch of fodder. But when she hits the scene, I am like tuned in. And so what I want y'all to know, okay, is this government was already going to hell in the handbasket. Oh dear Lord, will we enjoy this ride now that Nancy Pelosi is leading up the petty parade.
Yes.
I will be there with popcorn, cheering her on the whole way, and you can take that to the bank. Stay tuned for the next petty episode. Same petty time, same petty station.
I feel like you guys covered all of the Take That to the Bank. I just want to say I really love that Black folk can continue to find new and resourceful ways to be petty. For example, during the State of the Union, everybody was posting and sending around the Resist Bot texting number. Yeah, did you hear about that? The Resist Bot.
No, now?
So Resist Bot. I love it. I love it. It's a bot. So you text your number to Resist Bot, and they notified you when the State of the Union was over and Stacey Abrams stepped up. They gave you a little text.
What?
Yes, boo, honey.
I love it.
We never stop thinking of ways to be petty. So all on my timeline, folks were sharing that, like, yo, you don't have to watch this, boo. Go ahead and send a quick text to Resist Bot. They'll let you know when Stacey Abrams steps up.
I'm so upset. I'm so upset that I missed that.
That's
I'm
amazing.
signing up for can I still sign up for it?
Probably can. You probably can.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Honey, resist. So they were like, you don't have to watch it. We got you, and you can take that to the bank.
I love that we're geniuses, and we use our genius to be petty.
Yes.
Because that same person probably go to 9 to 5 and hates it and don't work. And don't do their job. But people think they're not smart. And at home, they sitting home creating a Resist Bot.
They're not giving them the whole. They're not giving them the whole nine.
At work. They was creating a Resist Bot at work.
That's it.
What'd you say, Keisha?
They learn from Thea. They're not giving them the whole 8. They are making Resist Bots at the people job, and we are all thankful for it. We're all better for it.
I love it.
So that's it.
Okay, so that concludes episode 22 is in the books, everyone. We're so excited to be back.
Follow us at Dim Black Mamas on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram.
And be sure to support our partners, Hilly and Mac. And don't forget to check out our website, www.dimblackmamas.com. You can also send us your thoughts about the show, show us some love, and ask us some questions at dimblackmamas@gmail.com.
So write us, and as you can see from this episode, Thea's advice will get you right, and NeKisha will get you pumping with breastside manner.
It was so hard for you to say breast.
It was difficult.
Coughed it up.
It was hard. Or if you have a topic suggestion, want to know more about us, shoot us an email. So thank you for your emails and for your engagement. Keep it coming in 2019, and let's take it to another level. That's it.
Level up. 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 Level up.
Is that the 2019 ending?
I think that might be the
2019. Say no more. Just level up.
I think we should level up at every episode. Level up. Level up. Level up.